The red plays an event and reveals arms industry. I'm the only one with artillery. Everyone else gets in on the other ones. Okay. Red develops mechanized agriculture and upgrades twice. Interesting. And gets 6 culture for endowment of the arts. Increases population and takes movies. Yellow plays an event and reveals emigration. No one has any discontent workers. Develops democracy. Builds an arena. Takes air forces and revolutionary idea and increases population. And builds a cavalryman. So yellow is slightly stronger again. I wonder. So then blue. Okay, blue plays an event and it's strategic territory. Are there other events in here? What are the events in here? There's, yeah, yellow may have played one more, plus my 2 events. Economic progress could be interesting if I can get selective breeding up. So I did red do mechanized agriculture here because the impact they played was the impact of agriculture, possibly. Or to become stronger on food for Empire State. So if red took this, it might have a hard time staying ahead actually now. So the food, they're on top for food and not on top for resources. They'd have to get there, and they are on top for science, but not culture. So it's interesting. So maybe, yeah, Empire State, so depending on whether they take that or impact of agriculture, which would be good encouragement to get selective breeding out potentially, depending on what happens here. I'm going to struggle with impacts here, I believe. Impact of happiness is really going to hurt. It would be kind of good if the impact that yellow played was impact of government, because I'm pretty close to everybody on that one, at least. Impact of progress would be fine as well. Impact of the happiness, I guess, is the worst one. Harmony's not great. Red could really do some damage with impact of harmony. So yeah, just a little stroll through what's going on there. So as far as this event goes, I guess I might as well bid for it. I mean, it'll make me stronger, which is good. It also will give me 5 more impacts to choose from and potentially get a good one. I think the biggest downside is that I lose one of my population and I don't have many to spare. I think that's the biggest problem. This population, I'm not going to be able to get this population out without selective breeding. In some fantasy world, if I had Occupy still, that could have helped me get food to increase that population if that aggression would have ever worked anyway. But I guess the population here is worth the potential cards. There's a couple other population I can pull if and as needed. So I'm willing to go ahead and do this. It would make me stronger for my turn, so if I do draw something interesting, I would be able to play it on my turn and be strongest in case of an event. So let's see what happens. So yellow sent away a cavalryman, a couple colonization cards, and 1 strategic territory. Then blue develops computers, upgrades 1, upgrades 2, increases population, takes modern infantry, and builds a 3rd. And takes democracy. Alright, so blue has, we'll get to that in a sec. Blue has a lot of science. They have just enough for democracy. In this situation, Occupy could have been helpful. Would have taken enough science to take away democracy. Had given me some food to increase population if we wanted to do that. But with the Olympics, it would have been a tough call. Since red took movies, Chaplin's not really doing anything. And blue didn't take a wonder, so blue doesn't really have a wonder worth taking. So really, infiltrate's not that good. So whether we go 2 more turns or 1 more turn is in my hands here. I think I need to take internet here. If I don't take internet, then there's a good chance I wouldn't get internet and that someone takes Hollywood away. Like I can see yellow taking internet and blue taking Hollywood. So I take internet. I have 2 civil actions left. I can take patriotism to end the age, then pull down this warrior and build a journalism. So doing that means next turn I can build, I don't have to worry about a war or an aggression. And next turn I build the movie and the wonder. And I think in that situation, yeah, so that's not bad. So if I don't take patriotism, I take internet, I discover movies, pull down the warrior and build the movies. So in that situation, the turn after that, I can build another movie. The turn after that, I can build another movie. And then the wonder ends up being worth a little more. And I'm getting a lot more culture for more turns. So I think in the end, it might be, around 40 culture more than blue in that situation versus about 20 culture if I end it this turn. So I think the biggest factor on whether to end it this turn or in a future turn is that yellow can get stronger. The only other thing we might do is a loss of sovereignty with red, where we would go, I guess, down by 2 culture a turn so people wouldn't be able to war against us, and the goal there just being to prevent yellow from doing a war. Because yellow could pretty easily revolutionary idea into an air force, put 1 air force down and do a war at 56. I don't know, the yellow may not want to do that because I can get to 56 pretty easily. Just build 2 air forces, and most likely I'll be able to do 3 as long as air force is still here. And so that depends on whether red takes air forces or not. And so there's a gamble there. If red takes air forces, then yellow can do the war with the assumption that blue would take air forces. If red doesn't take it, then yellow cannot do the war. And so loss of sovereignty would just be sort of a backup, so we wouldn't be able to do that war. It doesn't mean that yellow can't invest into some more military. Can't get cannon out, but could invest into military to do an aggression the following turn. So that could be a thing. So I could look at yellows. So in terms of Ian Fleming's power here, I think looking at yellows would provide the most information. If yellow has the defense card, then I know blue doesn't have it. There's going to be a bunch of impacts and other cards that yellow has that I'll understand. He may not have wars, may not have aggressions, and that would provide some valuable information. I think more valuable than whatever blue is holding at this point. Plus yellow is going to discard a bunch of those after their next turn. So looking at them now while he has more of them is probably better. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to look at yellow's hand. What does he have? So let me take a look at that for a second. All right, so looking through these, he won't play Impact of Industry. Architecture, I think it's unlikely he'll play. Just it's not. I have the potential. Red has the potential to catch up on that. Agriculture, I think he could play. It's better for red, but it's really bad for me right now. Impact of Colonies, he won't play. Wonders isn't that good. Impact of Government, I imagine he would want to play. So Government is best for him, and I think Agriculture is worst for me. Then he has these two aggressions that would be kind of terrible to have played against me. Plunder potentially could get me out of finishing the Wonder, although I don't think it would get me out of finishing it. It would just get me out of building the last movies. And yeah, I mean, Armed Aggression is not great, but it takes 7 culture, which generally is less culture that I'm going to gain by prolonging the game an extra turn. What worries me, so there's these two wars. War over culture would be rough, but he might not want to do that because I can get to a reasonable place to defend. But this hybrid war is a little more concerning. Also, what's not in here is Impact of Happiness. So it's possible that that's in there. But the hybrid war is interesting because that would really be rough for me. I can't fix my happiness and solve this very easily. And I'd like him to not do that to me. And it seems like a good play for him. So along those lines, loss of sovereignty seems worth it if I'm going to extend the game by a turn, which I'd like to do. So then I'd still be at risk of yellow getting stronger and then doing an aggression the following turn. But I can deal with that then, I believe. So I think the first step is to see if red will accept loss of sovereignty to give them 2 extra culture and me 2 less. So let's go ahead and try it and see. Interesting. So I will lose international tourism. I think that's fine at this point because I don't need the bonus against red and that culture will go away from blue as well. So I think that's fine. So I want to produce 2 less and no one can declare war on me. That's what I would like to do. Let's see. Ooh, he accepted it. That's exciting. Okay, so now no one can declare war on me. My culture production did go down a lot, so did blues. But now, I think at this point, I want to take internet, discover movies, and build one. So let's end this turn. Get a 1. This card's going to go away, so we can get rid of that one. And now red will draw more cards, but that will be the end of it. So that Impact of Culture draw, that was super interesting. We actually might be in a position to play that card at the end. It's possible next turn we'll want to cancel that pact that we created so we can get that 2 culture back, but this might be nice for the last turn.